So this horror story comes from Solata Warrior, and it's titled, I signed up for a gritty medieval RPG. Instead, I got dragons, destiny, and a DM with a weird obsession.
Oh, as always.
Yeah, we're going after the DM again. We'll see if I
Yes,
agree with this.
weird obsession.
Yeah, so this was a while ago, according to the writer, but I still think about it every time somebody says my game is low fantasy. Some people just like a more realistic game and don't like all this fantasy stuff. So let this be a warning to anybody who's ever been tricked into fantasy hell by a DM with an agenda. I love tabletop RPGs and was really just looking for a no fantasy, gritty world to play in. No elves, no wizards, no magical bloodlines, a cruel, painful, grounded world. Like, think mud, rusted swords, and dying of a chest cold in a pigsty. I don't know why you'd want your character to die of a chest cold in an RPG, but okay.
Chest cold?
Like during medieval times, people died of the flu. Right?
Yeah,
so
right.
they want this ultra realistic die of the flu kind of thing. Or I guess the first time you get hit by a sword, you get sepsis and die.
Well, I wouldn't want to die from the flu, especially in D&D in real life, all right.
Yeah.
But in D&D, I would want to die from some dragon. Okay, not dragon. Maybe it is another person. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want it to be so realistic. I don't want it to be like my life. I want it to be a game, something that I can actually win.
This is form of escapism. Come on. We're trying to get away from these things.
Exactly. So they go on to say that when they met this guy online, I assume this is the DM, I'll call him Mark, he pitched a campaign. He called it Ashes of the Iron Realm, promising no magic, no fantasy races, and absolutely no chosen one kind of storylines. So this person was 100% in because they made a female hedge knight with average generic tragic backstory of having her village burned down by raiders and vowed to protect innocents and all of that. Her character was always going to donate money and build orphanages and just be that kind of character. A character that's very giving.
So first she goes for gritty medieval stuff, dark, but after that she creates this kind of character.
Yeah, she's basically creating herself to be the hero in the terrible world.
Who cannot survive probably in this in this
probably.
kind of world.
Yeah. So Mark was pretty intense in the way that GMs sometimes are. He kept messaging me outside the group and saying things like, your character concept is so unique. I've never met a player with that depth before, which was odd, but she brushed it off. He said he liked how she understood suffering, which
my God,
should have been a red flag. But she was still excited to play, right? This was the campaign she asked for, right?
This is kind of 50 Shades of Grey kind of vibes.
Yeah, it does sound a little weird, but she wanted gritty, right? She wanted gritty, realistic, and he's kind of agreeing with her. So to this point, I think he's trying to give her what she wants. Anyway, the campaign starts.
Yeah, I don't see a lot of red flags so far as well in what the DM said, but I'm kind of can understand where it could lean after understand suffering.
Yeah, I get that too.
She does not understand suffering if her character always helps innocents and donates money to orphanage in a gritty world.
You're right. I mean, those kids that she's helping in the orphanage, they would understand suffering.
Yeah, right.
The campaign starts and everyone makes these broken, flawed, gritty characters. One was a disgraced sellsword, a plague doctor that sounds insane, a peasant girl who burned down her own village. Real bleak stuff. So I guess they mostly understand causing suffering.
All right, yeah. Those people understand suffering way better than the OP or this story.
So session 1 is great. It's all about political tension and hunger and plague and angry mobs. Perfect, according to the writer. Session 2 we meet a hermit who speaks in riddles and has a third eye.
Right.
Mark says it's just an old superstition, but weird. I mean, how is it a superstition if he has a literal third eye?
Yes, they are not going for fantasy, but still it is a hermit with the 3 eyes.
Yeah.
Did they invent radiation?
Maybe
at that point.
Yeah, they found a uranium deposit somewhere in the medieval times.
Experimented a little bit with this.
So session 2 is when they meet this hermit who speaks in weird riddles, right? Session 3, the sellsword finds a sword wrapped in red vines. The sword sings when it's drawn out of its scabbard. And they challenge him on it, saying, that sounds magical. But Mark, the GM, whatever, insists that it's not. It's just metallurgy and ancient craftsmanship. People back then believed anything, is how he explained it. By session 5, things are getting blatant. The plague doctor gets marked by a dream stag, like a deer, a dream stag.
Okay.
An NPC heals somebody by touching them and whispering in a forgotten tongue. A tree starts bleeding, and she's left squinting at the screen like she can't believe what she's seeing. So she messaged the GM privately again, hey, I thought this was a no magic setting.
And he replies, this isn't magic. This is a mythic truth. whatever it means. There is a difference. You, of all people, should understand that.
She says, what?
And he follows up with, there is just something about the way you write your character. It's like you're meant for deeper things. Most players, they make little dolls, but your character feels real. Like something old and sacred, something fertile. What is he saying?
That just went full left turn, right? So she says she actually had to reread that last word because she thought she misread it, but she hadn't. Why he uses fertile in this conversation is really weirding me out. The weird vibe escalates from there. Every session, Mark gives me special visions and glimpses of a woman giving birth, or whispers from a forgotten goddess of fertility beneath the world. Her character becomes the only one that can see the true nature of things, and she asked him to tone it down, and he says,
I just think your character is more open to the mythical world. Maybe because of who's playing her?
Excuse me? It all comes to a head in session 7. So this is all happening in like 2 sessions since it started getting weird.
But session 7, it is like 1.5 months of playing already.
So when the party visits a ruined abbey and meets an ancient cult leader named Severin, the Hollow-Eyed, this guy starts ranting about the bloodline of iron and womb of the stars, and then straight up says to my character, you must lie with you do it. You want to do it?
Yes, I will try.
Do it.
You must lie with me, vessel of rebirth. The child will be the chosen one.
Silence. Picture crickets in the background. I literally shouted in the call, WTF? Did he just say?
It is part of the prophecy. He's an old man. He's not serious. He just believes he is destined to sire the hero.
I responded, yeah, that's worse.
So they started with no chosen one crap, right?
Yeah, she specifically said no chosen one crap.
No magic or races, all of that shit. But they didn't say about giving birth.
Yeah, apparently she didn't strictly forbid giving birth in the game.
Not that he would care, apparently.
It doesn't sound like his boundaries were very rigid, and he really didn't mean anything that he told her at the beginning either. One of the other players DM'd her, private messaged her after the game and said, hey, that was uncomfortable. Are you okay? That's when I realized I wasn't overreacting. She left the campaign right after that session, and Mark messaged her saying that I was abandoning the sacred ark.
Yo.
Yeah, that's a little weird. That's like conflating reality with fantasy there, right?
Yes.
And that my character had a responsibility to the story. No, they don't.
Responsibility to the story.
Yeah, he was going to tell his story no matter who participated in it. It's not a collaborative story for him, it's his story.
What do you think the chosen one would be a DMPC?
Yeah.
His play character. Mark's play character. He's gonna be the Mary Sue.
Yeah. If that wasn't even bad enough, he wrote her a paragraph-long bit of lore about how the bloodline is now broken and the world will suffer because she left the campaign.
How can I now live any further knowing that?
She responded with, "Good, let the world burn. I just wanted to play a miserable knight who dies a tragic death while trying to make the world a better place." And that's fair.
Right.
That's fair.
Yes,
that's what she said all along. That's what she wanted.
It aligns.
So the kind of TLDR, long story short version is for people asking about a system and confused why play D&D without magic. No, I wasn't playing a D&D system. It was a system that the DM himself had created, but it was really similar to GURPS, which do you know what GURPS is?
Don't even understand this word.
GURPS is an acronym for Generic Universal Role-Playing System.
Okay.
And it was a system from back in the, probably popular in the 80s and 90s, where it was very realistic, hyper-realistic, and it had different versions for different genres. Like there was GURPS Horror, GURPS Fantasy, GURPS Western, GURPS Pirate, whatever. There was tons of different ones. And if you wanted to play a low fantasy game, you could play a version that was low fantasy. But apparently this DM was not down with the program and was gonna jam his fantasy down people's throats any chance he got, right? I'm on the player's side on this one, 100%.
Me too. All right. If she didn't tell that her knight was supposed to die at the end, I was kind of skeptical, but as she mentioned that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people assumed they were playing D&D because it's the most popular, but they weren't even playing D&D. So...
But can't it be D&D without the magic? Well, the magic is forbidden.
Lord of the Rings has a 5e version. Lord of the Rings is very low magic. There is only 5 wizards in all of Lord of the Rings, and the players can't play a wizard. So magic exists in the world, but it's imbued in items, it's imbued in the land. Certain races have certain abilities that you would think might be magical, but they're imbued in them, like an elf or a dwarf has abilities that you would think of as magic, but in the world of Lord of the Rings, it's natural for them.
It is not arcana.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, the only wizard, like Gandalf is a wizard. Radagast the Brown and all of them. Those are wizards.
True.
You can't roll up a character and be Gandalf in the game. I haven't run it, so maybe it does add some magic casting abilities in the D&D version because that's what they do. But the One Ring version that I run, it doesn't. I mean, there is magic. There is magic in the world. It's just very limited.
Or forbidden.
Or it's imbued into items that are ancient. Like you have a sword that glows when orcs are near it. Like Frodo's sword.
Or his ring, for that matter.
Yeah, it's like that. But it's certainly not the same as D&D where there's magic everywhere. So I get what she's saying. She wanted to play a game that was like the Crusades, where people just hack each other apart, and your character's probably going to die, and you're probably going to have 10 characters during a campaign.
That sounds so interesting. I'm not against this idea as well.
I think people should play what they want to play, and I think a DM should run the game that he agreed to run.
It provided the opportunity.
He baited them in, telling them it was all low fantasy, and then he kind of jammed the fantasy down their throats. And he overstepped some boundaries with this whole pregnancy thing.
Yes, this is overly. I don't even know. This is weird.
And when she spoke up about it, he blew her off.
You force a player to have a child. Not even okay, maybe not everybody is comfortable with giving a birth as well, but like having a child, it is not your familiar which you can abandon, right? You have to carry it for the majority of campaign. You will carry a child with you, and then it is going to be an NPC, and after that, it is going to become the main hero
or the BBEG.
Chosen one.
Maybe the baby was the BBEG.
Either way, yeah.
he handled that poorly. He should have run the game he promised, or get players who want to play the game you're running. Don't trick them into playing your game.